Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome to my hobby blog. Today we are doing a special episode. This is one that is more of a revisit. We last year, I think around the same day, I think October 7th maybe of last year, we did a kind of our top 31 spooky movies to watch during the month of October, and to introduce, or I guess to welcome back Will to the channel. How are you?
Hey, Christian, happy to be here. Glad we could do this again. I think last time we did it was audio only, right?
Yeah.
So this time everybody will see um, our delightful faces, and we'll be able to hold up some of the box art of the movies that we're uh, promoting.
Yeah, that's the most exciting thing because I was listening to the old episode today, just writing down all the movies that we mentioned, just so I kind of knew. And it was like, this will be so much better because to watch at least, because you can see the art, we get show and tell, we can
Yeah.
talk more. So
Well, and I'm gonna go ahead and uh, tell our listeners have pen and paper ready because I'm doing mine a little bit different. All curveballs, all curveballs. Nothing um, canonical. And if I get a canonical director, it's going to be something out of left field from that director. So, um, be a lot of cool stuff.
awesome.
I mean,
Because that was one thing I was immediately telling you about when we were planning this. I was like, I do not want to say the same movie again as last time or movies I always mention in my videos. Like, I want to do some deep cuts from my collection that I rarely, if ever, talked about before. So I
oh,
got quite a
speaking
few.
speaking of deep cuts, let me show you. The new book just came out. I'm going to give it a shameless plug, but also it's perfect for Halloween. This is Todd Browning's The Revolt of the Dead, which is the 12th entry in Tom Weaver's Scripts from the Crypt series. And this is essays about freaks, Mark of the Vampire. My essay is on the Devil Doll, and it includes the unproduced script of a Todd Browning zombie film called The Revolt of the Dead. So this is available from all online retailers you care to frequent. It's on Bear Manor Press. If anybody's interested in it, check it out. Order it for your local library. Um, Todd Browning, the master of the macabre, the one and only, the first horror director whose name top-lined his movies way back in the silent era. He was the John Carpenter and more of his time. Todd Browning.
I
So I'm excited about that.
I did get a Todd Browning movie from the Kino Lorber sale. I don't recall which one it was, but I
Oh, good.
I'm diving more into him. So I'm excited.
Everybody, sh- everybody should get copies of everything that they can by Todd Browning. His silent films, in particular, are uh, wild. So,
Yeah, I have the one with Lon Chaney. So whichever one that is, that one came
well, Todd Browning made many movies with Lon Chaney. They were kind of like a Scorsese De Niro type of thing. You probably have The Unknown. Am I guessing right?
in. Maybe if I could reach, I could turn the pile around because the blue
Well,
sky is treating
we'll
me.
do a we'll do a Todd Browning video one of these days.
Yeah. So mine are not in any order whatsoever. These are just grabbed from the shelf. So do you
Okay,
want to go first as the guest, or
sure. I have these in a sort of order in terms of changing tone as we go through the month. And of course, we're recording on October the 11th of 2022. So some of these have gone by, but this is kind of how I programmed my October. I try not to stress about it. You know, I'm not gonna finish all these by Halloween. It's gonna seep over into November. I got Iron Maiden tickets. I'm probably not gonna watch a movie that night. Um, I'm gonna go see Iron Maiden.
I
Um,
wanted to go, but I couldn't.
so this is how I started the month, and I don't want to get political here, but in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard saga, I'm Team Heard. She might be I'm not saying she's blameless, but come on, man. Drive Angry. Now this movie, oh, all right, it was a 3D movie, but it's okay. It's fine to watch it in 2D. It was directed by Patrick Lussier, who also did the Dracula 2000 series. Um, he was Wes Craven's editor for many of Wes's final films, Red Eye, the Screams, and so on, Cursed. Um, Nicolas Cage as a revenant released from hell to seek revenge for his murdered daughter. And he's got a demonic, like, Mustang. This is really Ghost Rider 3, just without the flaming skull head. And I know the first Ghost Rider is not very good, but the second Ghost Rider, if you've seen it, it's anybody who's seen it has to know it's amazing. Drive Angry is the movie that those movies should have been. This is so much fun. It's funny. It's action packed. Nicolas Cage and Amber Heard both being unhinged. Check it out.
I had no idea that movie was even about that. I remember when it came out, and I was like, oh, it just looks like another action car chase movie. I'll pass. I never looked at it, and now I'm sold on that premise.
Oh, man.
So
everybody's there.
Yeah, I actually just have stacks of movies on my left, so
Okay.
I'm gonna grab this one first, just because nobody likes it, and I feel like I'm the only one who does. This is a very sexual movie. It's a creature feature. It's kind of a folk tale. This is directed. Yeah, this is directed by George Pavlov. Pavla. I don't know, but this is Rawhead Rex. I love this movie. I don't know why nobody likes it. The creature is awesome. The very sexual kind of aspects of this movie is great, with the god of fertility happening. You get a Christian priest getting peed on, that although it looks like semen.
I was going to ask, is that the one where the monster pees on? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Irish. Not enough Irish horror movies in our lexicon, which seems strange since Dracula was written by an Irishman.
Yeah, and I love the interviews on here with the director, I believe. I'm trying to find it on the list, but this movie's amazing. The atmosphere is great. It's a great looking costume, although I know it's very articulated. It's very obviously not anything else than somebody in a suit, but I love it. Also, the village that they reside at looks really awesome. It's a great setting for a horror movie. It's like a gothic, very stony village. Kind of reminds me of a Hammer horror movie, which I finally have watched my first one ever last night. So I can finally say that I'm a Hammer horror fan. So that is my choice for number one. It is lovely. Don't listen to the criticisms.
All right. Well, my number two is a cult classic. I'm sure most people have seen this, and if they haven't, they need to immediately. Still kind of easing into the Halloween season. Night of the Comet. Night of the Comet, which crams in so many different genres into, how long is it? 80 some minutes? No, it's 95. But it crams in at least 4 different genres effectively. You've got an incredible cast. Jeffrey Lewis, Catherine Mary Stewart, and the great Kelly Maroney, also of Chopping Mall. Night of the Comet is one of the great post-apocalyptic zombie movie theater-based horror films ever made.
Awesome. I always get it mixed up with Night of the Demon, or whichever one with Linnea Quigley is. Because in my head, I've seen it, but I know
Night,
it's not.
Night of the that one's Night of the Demons plural.
Okay, that's why I get it mixed up then.
Night of the Demon singular is that Bigfoot movie with the rips the dick off.
Oh.
Severin just put out a very nice edition of it.
Isn't that a video nasty, or is that something else?
No.
Okay,
Yes.
that's how I know it then. So my next one is one that I actually waited a very long time to finally see this. And with the recent Vinegar Syndrome box set from last year, with this actor, producer, I don't know, enigma of a man, this is Rudy Ray Moore's Petey Wheatstraw. For the longest time, I had not seen this. I had only seen Disco Godfather and Dolomite.
The Devil's Son-in-Law.
Yeah. And this movie is so wacky, and the tonal shifts all over the place is whiplash worthy. He turns down the devil and the gift for immortality because the woman who is the daughter of Satan, he has to marry her after being slaughtered by a gangster. And he looks at a photo of her and is like, nope, I don't want anything to do with her. And they even say she's the ugliest woman in the world on the back of the box. And he says that. He's like, yeah, no, never mind. Just send me to hell. But he does eventually say yes. And the rest of the movie is just a lot of fun. He plays with magic cane that lets him do all sorts of fun action-y kind of things, and I'm so happy I eventually watched it. I also have the box set right here, but yeah, it's a great movie. I'm shocked it took me so long to watch it.
Fantastic. All right, well, moving along, my number 3, another cult classic. As I slowly build the tone, Highway to Hell, a staple of 90s late night cable viewing. This stars Chad Lowe and Christy Swanson as a couple ill-fated to travel through the barrier between our reality and hell. The devil wants to mate with young Christy, and Chad has to save her. And along the way, he meets a motley cast of characters, including the late, great Gilbert Gottfried as Hitler.
Ooh.
This one's a lot of fun.
Awesome. So my next movie is going to be a double feature. One, I can't decide which one to show, so I decided why not both. And these are both 1950s to 1960s, well, all 1960s, I guess. Japanese horror, directed by Kaneto Shindo, and that is Onibaba and Kiraneko.
Oh, nice.
I love both of these for different reasons. Onibaba, I think, was the one I fell in love with more because Kiraneko was one I saw from the UNCG library, and it was all scratched up, it was skipping, just didn't like it. And then Onibaba, they finally did a Blu-ray release of it, I think last year. Pretty recent release, and all the special features are awesome. It's very atmospheric. I love all of the little visual nods to what the themes of the movie is, of this sort of struggle between a mother and a daughter trying to claim a lover, and the mother starts to don on this Onibaba demon mask and scares the daughter away from being with the man, and she can't take the mask off, and chaos ensues. This whole movie's awesome. The performances are great. Not a minute to waste, and I think it's almost 2 hours for Onibaba, and Kiraneko is like 99 minutes, and that one is really great. But Onibaba, I think, is the one I love more, but they're both very, very good. So
good choices. All right, so now we're on to number 4, right? Number 4.
I think so.
For me, for me, it's going to be a Brian De Palma movie. Now, if you're saying Brian De Palma horror, the first thing people are going to guess is probably Carrie, maybe Sisters, um, maybe even Body Double. But it's none of those. No, it's the criminally underseen The Fury.
Haven't
Brian
heard of that.
Brian De Palma, John Cassavetes, telekinesis, exploding heads. This is the exploding head movie that I'm going to be watching this season, with all due respect to David Cronenberg. This is a movie that I've only ever seen on a very muddy VHS release, and it being Brian De Palma, you know, the widescreen composition and the color and camera work are very important. So I'm pleased to be able to see it thanks to Arrow UK, to see it as a more or less as it was intended. So yeah, check it out, The Fury.
I need to get more into Brian De Palma. My next one is actually exactly 100 years old. This is one that I saw last year, and I think I even did a video for it. And this is the film by Benjamin Christensen, Hexen. This movie is like a documentary with dramatized performances, all about the connection between witches and sort of mental illness and sort of all the scientific things that they did not have back then. So it's more of a scientific look at witchcraft and demon worship and all that. And we get a great performance by the director himself as Satan. And he is pretty awesome in it. Anytime he shows up, he's fully committed. Loves it. It's very interesting. Might be outdated by now because it is 100 years ago in terms of what we know nowadays, but it's lovely.
It's perfect timing since the satanic panic is back, you know?
I love it. Everything Satan, I love, so. And this movie does it 100%.
Great. Well, Satan will be making an appearance in my stack at some point, too. Okay, well, on to number 5. For me, getting closer into, this is kind of a combination of home invasion and slasher with a healthy dose of spooky mental institution. This is another underappreciated film that was directed by Jack Shoulder, who's best known now because of the resurgent retrospective appreciation of Freddy's Revenge, A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, right? The gay one. This is Alone in the Dark. Now, check out the cast. Jack Palance, Donald Pleasance, Martin Landau, Dwight Schultz, who played, what's his name on the A-Team? Mad Murdock. So all these guys playing a gang of escaped inmates at the mental institution, and they're just killing the shit out of people and saying lines in the way that these guys can say them. Big line readings. Alone in the Dark.
Awesome. I also want to shout out the Nightmare on Elm Street 2 documentary, Scream Queen.
Yep.
Watch it if you haven't already. I'll just put that on top. This is one I saw recently, and I wasn't wowed by it, but it has a lot of potential. It is right there on the edge of greatness. Directed by Ruben Flender, starring Brooke Adams and James Karen. This is The Unborn. This movie is so creepy. It's like maybe 5 minutes too long. There's a bit of a pacing issue throughout this movie, but the idea is amazing. A doctor played by James Karen injects a woman with a weird creature sperm because she's not able to have babies. So he secretly does this, and we get some hints of some weird things happening, and she joins a pregnancy support group where he injected all of them with this weird, mysterious fluid. And the movie is quite disgusting in certain parts. Many times where I winced at what was going on screen, but this is one I don't think anybody has actually watched. I don't hear about this one at all, so that's why I grabbed it. Really great creature effects too.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, okay. My number 6 is going to be a record scratch on the tone. Now, Umbrella Releasing just put out a deluxe edition of this, and it came with a poster, which really made me ask myself, what kind of person would hang up a poster of this movie? And apparently, that person is me. This is Martyrs. Pascal Augier. Oh, it's a reversible poster. You can get 2 different kinds of artwork. This is the ultimate in French extremity. I mean, this is the box art. This is a film that is not funny, he said after laughing. You've seen it before, right, Christian?
I've been meaning to. This is what I really want to see.
This is a film that I love, and many of the people who I've shown it to, it's changed them significantly. Not all in ways that they necessarily wanted to be. This is a film that will unsettle anyone who watches it, whether they. It's not a film to be enjoyed. It's a very philosophical film. We overuse the term brutal. This is an actually brutal film, and what you come away with is a changed outlook on mortality and conceptions of the afterlife or lack thereof. It is difficult to watch. And it's been about 6 or 8 years since I've seen it, so I feel like I'm ready to do it again. But it's not going to be a night where I'm having fun and celebrating. It's going to be a night where I am going to be serious and thinking. And that's Martyrs. Stay away from the American remake. It's a piece of shit.
Most American remakes are.
I'm not against remakes in principle, but that one's pretty bad, and it does a real disservice to the themes of the original. You know, if you're going to do a remake, do your own thing, but don't disrespect.
Well, my next one is another Satan-focused one, but it's heavy metal based. So tapping into that satanic panic, because this was definitely prevalent with heavy metal bands. But this is one that I saw many years ago when it first came out on Netflix. I think in freshman year of high school, maybe. And I loved it, and I rewatched it, and I said, it's still pretty good, but you need a couple beers in you to enjoy it. It is Deathgasm. I really enjoy it conceptually, but I rewatched it recently, a couple months ago. Maybe I was out of season, maybe I was in the wrong mood, but didn't really strike me as well. But thinking back on it, I think it was just kind of the day. But a heavy metal band discovers a secret sheet of music that is supposed to give them limitless power, and so of course they play it because they have to, and they unleash the apocalypse onto Earth. And we get a whole lot of heavy metal throughout this movie, a lot of gore, buckets and buckets of blood are poured throughout this movie. And I love the slipcover to it, but they have nothing on the spines to say which movie it is, so I always forget I own it because it's just a black. I keep thinking it's a shadow in my shelf and not a movie. So,
well, a Deathgasm should always be a surprise.
Yes. If someone ever goes to my collection and just grabs a movie and it's because they can't see it, I want them to watch this. That is Deathgasm.
All right. Well, for me, I'm going to have to kind of reset my mind after Martyrs. So next in my marathon, my programming, I'm going to the original Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with John Barrymore, which is a superior version of it. This is the silent film version. It is an absolute wonder of lighting and stage makeup and subtle performance. John Barrymore, I think this might be his greatest performance, at least that I've ever seen. And yeah, really delivers. What evil lurks in the heart of man? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. 1920.
So this is one that I haven't seen in a couple of years, but it's very Halloween focused, so I have to choose it. It has some great heavy metal in it, a really great performance by actor who is not in much else aside from this. Maybe Blade Runner, I think he's in. This is Hack-A-Lantern. Starring the amazing High Pike. He is amazing in this one.
That's two in a row of movies that Joe Bob Briggs did in the past year. That's great.
Ooh, I didn't even notice that. Yeah. But it's basically a giallo with a demon killer, which is right there, kind of in the middle. But they are killing people off, and there's a Halloween party happening, and there's not much else going on in this movie, but it's very atmospheric. Great music. We get a great music video in this movie with the song The Devil's Son, played by an actual band who I can't remember the name of, but our main character, who was Mac's dad in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, same actor. He is the background guitarist in the band. He's just hanging out, playing the main riff, and they kill in the same way that the Giallo killer kills. And that's it. There's not much connection to that music video, but it's awesome. It's nestled right in the middle of the movie to kind of wake you back up so you can watch the last half of the movie. It's a very great Halloween movie. So,
well, okay. So my next one, I'm going to go with an adaptation of Shirley Jackson, directed by Robert Wise. Of course, I'm talking about The Haunting. And anyone who's interested in sound editing needs to see The Haunting. Anyone who's interested in how suspense and tension can build fear will very much enjoy watching The Haunting. It's a scary, scary movie. Very effective.
Awesome. My next movie is one that was recently done by TerrorVision, and this is one that was actually kind of shocked me with how good it is. It's a shot-on-video movie. The makeup effects was done by Joel Harlow, who did 2010 and Star Trek, those special effects heavy movies. And then we have the guy who scored Rogue One and Jurassic World. And this was all of their first movies. So they really, I guess, went up in the world of cinema after this. But this is Killing Spree. Somebody is suspicious of their wife and start killing all the lovers or suspected lovers and buries them in the backyard. And then something in the grass brings them back, and they start tormenting our suspicious husband. And it is great. I really enjoyed it. Really atmospheric, great coloring. It has a awesome slipcover. You can see there's like a clown skull right there. You see the husband. In my head, it was just all like splashes of just red. And then I saw the movie and I was like, oh, I see everything. A ceiling fan decapitates somebody. So if you have a fear of that, don't watch this movie. It's awesome. I really enjoyed it.
All right. Well, speaking of splashes of red, um, my next one. Let's see. Uh-oh. You've frozen up on me, Christian. There you are.
Oh.
There you are. So speaking of splashes of red, got to have a Mario Bava movie, but I'm going to go a little bit afield. One that I haven't seen in a really long time, Hatchet for the Honeymoon. Get the glitter there. This one's a lot of fun. Like I said, it's been years since I've seen it, so this will almost be like watching it for the first time. But I'll remember sequences as I go through. You know, guy's got an uncontrollable bloodlust for women. What are you going to do? You know, it happens far too often. But in Hatchet for the Honeymoon, it happens in a very stylistic way because we are talking Mario Bava. So that's my next pick.
Awesome. This stack here has a lot more of movies I've never, that I have talked about a lot. I have to give a big shout out to Arrow for finally doing a box set of these films, and I can't wait to upgrade my Blockbuster DVD copy of it. Literally, I have a Blockbuster DVD. I can show the sticker in a second. But this is Ju-On, The Grudge. I can't wait for that Blu-ray set. It has all 5 movies or something.
It's going to be great.
It has new audio commentaries, new interviews. I haven't pre-ordered it yet, but I assume it hasn't gone out of print yet. And if it does, I'm going to be angry. And that'll be it, because I'm not going to do anything about it. But I'll pay top dollar for it, because it is a set I really need. I think everybody knows it. I don't think I need to say more, but it does have a audio commentary with Sam Raimi on it. So, and just to prove, there is a Blockbuster thing logo right here. So it is an authentic Blockbuster release.
Quite the time capsule.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, for my next one, I'm going to keep things gothic, and I'm going to do a double feature of Stuart Gordon films from his Full Moon days, Castle Freak and The Pit and the Pendulum. I think Castle Freak is probably the better known film, but I honestly, and it is great. Jeffrey Combs is fantastic in it. There's so much gross stuff in it, and the atmosphere is fantastic. But I have a lot of love for The Pit and the Pendulum, which is gothic, it is perverse, and it is hilarious. It's along with Reanimator, Pit and the Pendulum is one of Gordon's most comedic films. Lance Henriksen as a Grand Inquisitor. The Pit and the Pendulum needs to be seen by more people. And Full Moon has put this out as a double feature Blu-ray, but I hope that with their move into 4K with the first Trancers movie, that they'll eventually get around to their Stuart Gordon titles for some upgrades.
Yeah, I love Castle Freak. Haven't seen The Pit and the Pendulum yet.
Let's see it.
My next movie is a Soviet film, one that I saw quite a few years ago. And then I actually am getting all the Haunts box set coming in. I think either this week or next week. And I got a really good deal on it, so I can't wait. And this is in it, so I got to sell it, I guess. This movie is awesome. I love this movie.
Yeah.
It's an adaptation of a story by Nikolai Gogol, but this was already adapted by Mario Bava, so there's that Mario Bava connection. But this movie, it takes place in the late 1800s. I don't even remember what happens in the story, but I recall that a bunch of men are traveling the countryside. They show up at a castle. They all get drunk. And then a witch comes by and captures one of them. And he's in a weird crypt for like half of the movie while she torments him. And she's flying everywhere. There's great cinematography in this. There's the scene where they all get drunk together, and the camera acts as if they're also a drunk participant in the scene, and it's great. I really enjoyed this. I'm going to give it a rewatch once the box set comes in, but I want to watch that 4-hour documentary first before jumping into the films, because I need context before I jump in further.
You'll get it. Kayla Janice's documentary is fantastic in that set. That I'm actually going to do the all the Hans BR's set all the way through as my January sort of film festival, because I like the darkness and the cold, but for that type of film, and so I'm excited.
Yeah.
That's what's coming in the future. All right. Well, my next one is a Criterion release, and it is absolutely a horror film, but it's not one that people will think of. This is actually my favorite film by Roman Polanski, and it is his adaptation of Macbeth. Now, I won't get into all the controversies of Roman Polanski, who is of course guilty of the rape of a minor, and has been credibly accused of several more. I will say this though, that this film, more than most adaptations of Macbeth I've seen, and I've seen a lot because it's one of my favorite Shakespeare plays. This film, more than most, really gets into the way an evil choice leads to more and more evil. And so when I watch this, I can't help but think of, the life of Roman Polanski, who had a tragic childhood, his family killed during the Holocaust, and a very difficult upbringing, and then inflicted so much pain on others, while at the same time making some of the most beautiful films in the world. And so one of the reasons this is the one of his I regard the highest is because I think it brings together so many of the themes of The Tenant and Repulsion and Rosemary's Baby into Shakespeare. So another serious night, but really rewarding. I highly recommend this to anyone, regardless of their opinions about Polanski himself.
I'm a huge Macbeth fan. That's probably my favorite of the Shakespeare.
Have you seen this one?
I have not.
Oh, great. Yeah, check it out.
And the Criterion flash sale is happening right now, and I'm sad I can't do it because I bought all the Haunt set, and I bought a different set that I can't even remember. I buy so much. Yeah.
That's a lot. I did it this morning.
So my next one is one that I think I talked about on the channel, so I won't talk about too much. Go watch the video for more details. But this is a Japanese horror film that kind of wowed me, and I love the visuals in it. It's a black and white one from 1968. So great year, same year as Night of the Living Dead. This is the Silver Girl, or the Snake Girl and the Silver-Haired Witch. This movie is so awesome. I of course bought it because of the slipcover. It looks really awesome, but thankfully the film is also awesome. Really great visuals, really creepy creatures, as you can see on the theatrical poster. It's great, and I was kind of shocked that this was the first time ever on disc that this movie came out outside of Japan. So I don't know how many gems are hidden from our side of the world, but if it's like this, I want more of it. It's great.
Well, next up for me, I'm going back to Italy. Got to have a Lucio Fulci film. But again, I'm coming out of left field with these, and here's the one I'm doing. Manhattan Baby. This is put out by Blue Underground. It is a sort of Fulciized possession tale little bit of an Exorcist ripoff, and great soundtrack. A film that is, again, underseen, and not often mentioned when people rave about their favorite Fulci. So it's one I wanted to put in the programming this year.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. You've got Possession. You've got some very tenuous grasp of archaeology in the dialogue. Yeah, and it looks good. Blue Underground does really great restorations, and this is no exception.
Cool. So my next one is another double feature of two films by John Carpenter that I think I ignored in terms of Halloween lists, because everyone goes for Halloween, they go for The Thing. And I wanted to showcase both of these because they have great atmosphere, great music, great concepts, one of which is Lovecraftian, the other one is Doomsday Apocalypse. I'm talking, of course, In the Mouth of Madness and Prince of Darkness.
Yes.
Lovely movies. I love both of them. People shit on the In the Mouth of Madness theme song. I love it. I love how John Carpenter couldn't get the rights to Enter Sandman, so he said, I'm going to make my own, and made an awesome one. So, Sam Neill is amazing in The Mouth of Madness. Prince of Darkness is really good. Little cameo by Alice Cooper in it.
Yeah.
He's great in it. Another, basically, Assault on Precinct 13 movie. He has multiple of those in his filmography, but definitely Prince of Darkness, people hold up in a single location. Nameless ghouls and thugs descend and kill off everybody. Well, not everybody, but slowly kill off. So I haven't actually gone through the features of these two, but most of the Scream Factory Carpenters I have. And I was like, I don't want to talk about those. I want to talk about ones that not many people put on Spooktober lists. So
yeah. Well, and people don't recognize how funny Prince of Darkness is. There's so much physical humor, humor in the margins of the frame, almost cartoonish, that really enrich what is also, it's also spooky. He really manages to get great atmosphere with that. And since you bring up, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I also love how there's also another Satan connection, but Satan basically invented quantum mechanics and just physics
sense.
And all that. So
yeah,
I love it.
Well, and since you bring up John Carpenter and Assault on Precinct 13, rest in peace to Austin Stoker, who passed away on October the 7th on his 90th birthday. Austin Stoker, really great actor, underappreciated. Was great in Assault on Precinct 13, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, and several other good films. So, okay. Well, here's my next one, which is also a double feature. And this one is more intellectual. I'm keeping it with the possession theme, but all right. So you're gonna think one thing, then I'm gonna swerve on you. It's The Exorcist, but it's Exorcist the beginning and Dominion the prequel to The Exorcist. Why these two? For those who aren't aware, back in around 2003, 2004, John Frankenheimer was going to direct a prequel to The Exorcist, which focuses on Father Merrin's first encounter with Pazuzu. Frankenheimer withdrew from the film before it started shooting because of health concerns, and shortly thereafter died. So Paul Schrader, who wrote the script, I don't think he might not have written the script. He did not write the script. I take that back. Paul Schrader came in, and anytime Paul Schrader works on a movie, it's going to get real Catholic. So he made Dominion prequel to The Exorcist. The studio hated it, brought in noted action director Rennie Harlan who took Schrader's footage and filmed more and created a kind of action-oriented version called Exorcist: The Beginning, which was released, and then a year later, Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist, was released on video, and I think it had a short theatrical run. So I'm going to watch both cuts, the Schrader version and the Harlan version. I'll watch Rennie Harlan's first since it came out first, and then Schrader's. I've seen each of these once before in the very early days of Netflix. I got them on my 3-disc at a time plan. 2001. Well, no, it could have been 2001 because they didn't come out yet. 2006 or 7, whenever I was. But so that's my double feature for my next pick: Exorcist: The Beginning and Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist.
Awesome. So my next one is another Criterion edition. I talk about it, I think, every year. I'm not going to cover it this year, but I do want the new Eureka release because it has a Guillermo del Toro audio commentary, newly recorded. So I'm desperate for that. I hope it's still in print. But this is the 1932 called Dreyer film. I guess 90 years old this year. Vampire. This movie baffles me in its camera trickery with all the shadow play that they do throughout the film. And it is very atmospheric. It's a silent film. So you have the title cards, which add to the spookiness. And they also package the entirety of the screenplay and with the Criterion edition. So that's pretty cool. Maybe one day I'll make my own version. Probably not. But it's nice to know I have a resource to do so. Not often does Criterion package these giant books with the releases. So
yeah, that's
great. It's a great movie. And also has a really great cover. So every now and then I'll just look at this, hang it up.
Yeah, yeah, for real. Okay, well my next one is a bittersweet because it's a film directed by and starring a great actor who left us too soon. I'm talking, of course, about Bill Paxton and his directorial debut, Frailty, which is a chilling movie about a dad who thinks the end of the world is about to happen, and what does that mean for him and his sons? I won't say any more, but it is. Matthew McConaughey is also in this. This is from 2002, so 20 years old, and it is Powers Booth, and it, a lot of times when actors turn to directing, it's kind of something they dabble in, and some are okay, some are really good. Bill Paxton could have been really good. This is a very small movie. He kind of kept his ambitions within his reach, in terms of budget and scope of the story, and it's so well done. So I recommend Frailty to anybody. But trigger warning, if you got kids, this is going to be a tough watch. Unless you're like me. I got kids, but I don't care.
My next movie is actually a family directed this. It's part of the Addams family. With just one D. It's not like the other Addams family, but I highly recommend the other work by them called Hellbender, which is like a witch heavy metal movie, which I think Arrow needs to release because I discovered after reviewing, or while I was reviewing this, I was like, this movie would be a great double feature with Hellbender. And then I looked it up, and it was like, directed, cast, music by, same people. And I was like, oh, this is The Deeper You Dig. This is like a ghost possession movie where I think the father of the Addams family kills somebody, and they bury the body, and the ghost torments him the entirety of the movie. And although it is more of a winter aesthetic going on, it's very creepy. All the performances are great. It also comes with the debut feature, The Hatred, which I should watch. Sounds great, but this was a total blind buy for me. Did not have any clue that it was the same people as Hellbender, which I think is my favorite movie of last year or whenever it came out. So, The Deeper You Dig.
Nice. I tell you, loyal viewers, you can't go wrong with these. These are some good lists, I gotta say. Patting myself and back a little bit. Okay, I wanted to make sure I had a Hammer movie too, and of course one that I hadn't seen in a very long time. Frankenstein Created Woman. Right, look at that.
I love
Buxom lass with a meat cleaver. Absolutely great. Peter Cushing. This is one that Terence Fisher directed, and it is a good mixture of gothic opulence and cheesy camp. So I am a fan. Absolutely.
Awesome. I have a great movie in my hands here. One that I saw the theatrical cut of many years ago, and I was like, that's pretty good. And then I watched the Cabal cut, and this is written and directed by Clive Barker. This is Nightbreed. Oh my god. I was pretty happy with the theatrical cut. And then I saw the Cabal cut the other night, and oh my gosh. It was so perfect. David Cronenberg is very imposing in this film.
Mm-hmm.
I love how the demons in this movie are actually the good guys, and David Cronenberg is like committing genocide or trying to commit genocide on them. And the music is phenomenal throughout this movie. I just kept like closing my eyes and just listening to the music because it was just so awesome. And lots of creepy visuals all throughout. I need to like dive more into Clive Barker's writings because I think I would like him a lot.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No comments there. Yeah. Okay, on to my next one. Okay, this one, keeping with family themes. So this past weekend, I saw Smile in the theater and loved it. It is a fantastic depiction of mental illness and the struggle to be listened to and heard, but also at the toll that mental illness takes on those around the person, right? And then compounding that with the feelings of guilt that everybody feels. And it reminded me somewhat of a film that I saw last year. I saw it streaming on a laptop, which is not the right way to watch a movie.
David Lynch would be mad.
Yeah, and he'd be right to be mad. But it was all I had at the time. And even on that small screen, I thought this film was absolutely beautiful. Very slow build. And this, oh my gosh, it really gets into the complicated neuroses that can engulf and torture mothers and daughters in particular. This is a is she crazy or is it real type of film, which Smile is as well, and it's called A Banquet. It is, I believe, the first feature-length film by the director Ruth Paxton, no relation to Bill that I know of, and it's gorgeously shot. It's really, if you get a real sense of dread watching this movie, and I absolutely loved it when I saw it last year, and I've been recommending it to everybody. and not recommending it purposely to some others who might be very triggered because of their own life histories, unfortunately. So check out A Banquet. Really good. Actually, might be a good double feature with Frailty.
Ooh. There's a movie similar to that came out, I think, 2 years ago that I can't remember the name of, but it deals with the dementia, with a grandmother with dementia, and it's all about the daughter having to take care of her. And there's a very spooky atmosphere involved, but I forgot the name of it. But I thought you were gonna say that one actually. So I was getting ready to be like, yeah, I've seen that. It's great. But this next one is a German horror film that Era Video put out recently. I don't see the name of the director on here because it's very tiny print. But this is another ghost telekinesis related movie. I guess a little bit like Carrie, but it's heavily drawn from Mario Bava, David Lynch, and the Brothers Grimm. This is the film Sleep. I think I've done a review on this, so go watch that for my full thoughts and all that, as it's a lot more fresh because I think I watched it and I immediately talked about it because I loved it. But this movie is so creepy. I love just everything in it. The visuals is great. The performances. It's really, really great. I can't really say much about the story that I remember because it's all spoilers. Go in as blind as you can into that movie.
Great, great. All right, well, my next one is the first of two films I'm watching this month by one of my favorite directors. Hashtag restore the Wynorski verse. Jim Wynorski, one of the all-time greatest, and this is one that I hadn't seen yet because it's not available in a U.S. release. So I've got the German release. This stars Michael Madsen, Rachel Hunter, and all the typical cameos from Wynorski vets. This is Piranaconda. Yeah, Piranaconda. Gotta have a giant CGI monster cheese fest in here somewhere. Might as well do it about 60% through the month. Piranaconda from Jim Wynorski. Enough said.
I'm going to give a quick honorable mention to my favorite big CGI monster movie. Most of it's not CGI, but they do add in a lot of CGI. Snakes on plane. I gotta throw that one in. I wish they had the television cut on that because then we would get I'm tired of these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane instead of motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
You know, that's a film that has some historical importance because it's one of the first films that internet fan discourse forced to make changes to it. Like, it was originally going to be a more straightforward movie. Mm-hmm. And internet chatter, Ain't It Cool News, talkbacks, forums, and places like that. And this is kind of in the early days, the Wild West of the internet fanboy culture. Somebody recorded an impression of themselves doing Sam Jackson, and they did that line, right? I'm tired of all these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. And it sounded just like him. Whoever did the impression was a dead ringer for Sam Jackson. And that became kind of a meme before there were memes. And the studio brought the cast and crew back and did some reshoots to add jokes, including that line. A line was not originally in the film. So how about that?
I remember hearing that on the audio commentary, and I was shocked because I didn't even think that was possible back then. Because it was like 2003, 2004. I remember it being in theaters. We actually that was one of the first movies we rented from Netflix DVD. Got the director's cut, so I was able to see some nudity as an 11-year-old. Well, I guess it was 2005, 2006, so I was maybe about 9 or 10. But this next one's a Jackie Chan movie. I'm going to have to talk about this one because it's a very ghost-heavy movie. So I, of course, had to include it, and there's not many Jackie Chan movies to choose from for this season, but this is one that I really enjoyed when I watched it, I think, a few months ago. Jackie Chan has to protect a scroll of awesome martial arts that nobody is allowed to touch, and it gets stolen. And the rival gang that steals it has a martial arts form that's supposed to balance out the power of this martial arts form that Jackie Chan is protecting. And so he has to communicate with the ghosts of the group's past that is still rooted within the place. And this is the film Spiritual Kung Fu. I have the 88 Films edition of it. I really enjoy this one. It's nowhere near the top of the Jackie Chan movies, but it's a very good one, and I really enjoyed it. It's an early one, too. So, by Lo Wei. If you see that it's directed by Lo Wei, starring Jackie Chan, go watch it. It's usually really good.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, my second and final Mario Bava film. Going to have a bit of sci-fi to it. I'm excited about this because I just got rid of my Blockbuster DVD of it in favor of the new Kino Lorber Blu-ray restoration. That's right. The movie that Dan O'Bannon ripped off to write the screenplay for Alien, Planet of the Vampires. Planet of the Vampires. It's Star Trek meets horror meets beautiful color palette. Can't go wrong with it. It's a really fun movie.
I had no idea that movie was about that.
Yep,
So I'm sold. Not only did he steal the script from that, he stole the visuals from Jodorowsky's Dune. That's what that whole documentary is about, really. It's about how many people stole from that movie. But my next one is one that I just saw last night again for the first time since class. And this is one that I love a lot, and I was like, I want to watch this again. So I bought it from Kino Lorber. Did not come with that awesome slipcover, but this is an Iranian vampire film. And it is absolutely amazing. It's in black and white. The soundtrack is great. You have the main vampire in a, I want to say a burqa. I don't know if I'm saying the right term, but she's in the headdress and she skateboards around town to go kill her next victim. This is A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Amazing title for that movie because you read that and you go, oh no, a girl is walking home alone at night. That's a very dreadful sentence, but it ends up that she's the predator in this situation. And this movie is just really good. I don't think anybody actually knows about this. I remember this was on my radar for the longest time. And then I was a student. I couldn't buy it because I didn't have much money. And we saw it in class, and I was like, yes, I finally get to see the Iranian vampire film. And it's great.
Well, Iranian American to be perfectly accurate. And actually, it's not a burqa, it's a chador.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I teach that movie, so yeah, that's a fun one. Heavy Quentin Tarantino influence, but I forgive it.
As long as he doesn't steal from it, because that would be weird.
All right, here's my next one. Now, this has some historical importance because it is the first film that Joe Bob Briggs ever reviewed as a newspaper columnist. And it is a film by the great Aristide Massachesi, better known to American cult film fans as Joe D'Amato. The American release, butchered to use an appropriate term, cut was called The Grim Reaper, but the actual film is Anthropophagus. And Severin puts out an amazing box set that also includes D'Amato's Absurd. So it's got Anthropophagus and Absurd. And when I got the bundle, it comes with the Anthropophagus eating his own intestines. And you can put them back in his stomach and you can rip them back out and attach it to his mouth. And it's very cute. So this sits in my office next to my desk.
I'm so jealous. I remember seeing that for years in your office. I finally watched it, I think, last year because we covered that in the Withering Watch. But I think in one of the first episodes we did Severin films, and the sale had just happened. I got that, and I was like, oh my gosh. I wish I had the doll.
Yeah, so that's a good one.
Yeah, this next one is one I've seen I don't know how many times, but it's a Takashi Miike. Can't do a Halloween list without Takashi Miike. But this is one that not many people talk about, maybe. Maybe I'm not around the right people, but this is... Arrow says it's The Sound of Music meets Dawn of the Dead. Happiness of the Katakiris. I love this movie. I've seen it many years. I was very excited when it popped up on the cult films course syllabus, and I was like, yes, we get to see it. Another excuse for me to watch it again. And it's very wholesome, actually. It's a lot less kind of, I don't know, nihilistic than a lot of Takashi Miike movies. I think maybe he used this movie as sort of a palate cleanser for himself. I don't know what movies he was making at the time, but I'm sure he really wanted to make this movie, so he did. The stop motion in the beginning is really good too, which you don't see really ever after kind of the golden age of that. But I need to go through the special features on this. I've seen it so many times in like the last 8 years or so that I think I can finally delve into the behind the scenes. But I love that movie. I recommend it to everybody.
Great. Well, my next one, as you I'm sure have noticed, I'm wearing a Toxic Avenger t-shirt. So of course I have to have a trauma film. I'm going to go with one that is really good for Halloween, but also good for just thinking about film culture and cinema art. That's right, Terror Firmer, which is a film that is about the making of cinema, a film that is about the difference between Steven Spielberg and truly independent art, a film that is about love, death, and toilets.
Can't go wrong with that. So this next one I have to shout out because we're all fans of Ricky O here. And this is the same film by the director Lam Nai Choi. And this is one I talked about recently on the Withering Watch Pal, but I need to mention it as much as possible because I know not everybody watches that, or at least watches all the way through to see what movies I've talked about. But this is one I love so much. And even more than Ricky O. This is The Seventh Curse. This is the giant 88 films edition, and the essays in this is wonderful, or are wonderful. It has Chow Yun-fat in it, has Maggie Chung, lots of great actors in this, and the entirety of it is amazing. You get a floating goblin baby zombie that eats people and grows more powerful the more people it eats. And that's just the beginning. Gotta watch it to believe it.
Well, I just got that, and I did not realize it was the same guy as Ricky O. So.
I did not know either. It was as I was reading the essays, it was like everyone knows him for Ricky O, but no one knows him for this. I'm like, it's the same guy.
Well, okay. Big shift in tone here, especially coming from Trauma. My next selection is an Irish horror film, one very different from Rawhead Rex. Imprint just put out this amazing edition. I got to show the box art. This is The Wicker Man. This is The Wicker Man.
I really want that set. It's just so expensive.
And yeah, and I mean, how many cuts? We've got the director's cut, the final cut, and the theatrical cut. So 3 cuts. I probably will not be able to watch them all in one night, but I am going to watch all 3 cuts. I think I've only seen the theatrical and the director's, so this final cut thing, I'm looking forward to trying out. The Wicker Man. Thank you, Imprint. Very nice.
My next one.
I'm saying thank you like they sent me a copy. No, I paid for it. But thanks Imprint for making it.
So this next one is one I really love. I rewatched it last night, and this is a 1962 film, heavily inspired David Lynch to make Twin Peaks, heavily inspired George Romero to make, well, not to make Night of the Living Dead, but a lot of these same elements can be found in Night of the Living Dead. But it is the film by Herc Harvey.
Oh, yeah.
Carnival of Souls. This movie is heavily atmospheric. The main lead is amazing in this. She is just the best actor in this movie, frankly. I love the supernatural parts of this movie. The cinematography. The director was an industrial filmmaker, just like George Romero. He did a lot of commercials before making this, and then he made this and not many other movies from what I heard about him on the interview on this release. But it's a 78-minute movie too, so it's like an hour and not even 20 minutes. So if you need a short movie to watch this month, watch this. Carnival of Souls.
That's a great one. All right, well, I'm sticking with the Gothic, but I'm bringing back the cheese because I've got to have another Jim Wynorski film. And this one is his Carmilla, except it stars Nicole Eggert, the late Lana Clarkson, who was tragically murdered by Phil Spector, and Maria Ford. This is The Haunting of Morella. And it is a pretty great little flick. You know, I was pleased to discover, I've been agitating on Twitter, Restore the Wynorski verse is my hashtag that I'm trying to get going. And it was just announced the other day that the first 4K restoration of a Wynorski film, which will be with Heather Locklear, Return of the Living Dead, or Return of Swamp Thing, and I hope that this one is next. It really is a good looking movie, and really shows that Wynorski, when he has the budget and a little bit of time, can bring the atmosphere, and also the sleaze and the cheese. The Haunted Morella, it's a great one.
So my next one is a Guillermo del Toro movie, one of the first Criterions I ever bought. But this is one that not many people have seen. The audio commentary on this really delves deep into the kind of inspiration from like 1400s, 1500s artwork. And the heavy historical aspects in this film are really great. This is one of his more, I wouldn't say unknown, but less appreciated films, The Devil's Backbone. A great ghost story. Takes place during the Spanish Civil War, and really great performances all around. Some great little sub characters that aren't around as much as others, but give a lot of kind of great, I don't know, contributions to the movie. So check it out.
Okay, I may have mentioned to you that I'm working on an essay about Wes Craven's made-for-television movies. Have I mentioned that to you before?
Yeah.
Well, so this is one that I'm going to rewatch just for funsies. Wes Craven actually released 2 films in 1984, one in May and one in November. The one in November was A Nightmare on Elm Street. The one in May was a made-for-TV film on NBC called Invitation to Hell, starring Robert Urich, Susan Lucci, Soleil Moon Frye, Punky Brewster, Joanna Cassidy, and what's his name? Barrett Oliver, who was in Neverending Story. This is one of his first yuppie movies, and it's about this engineer who invents a suit that can withstand great heat, that is going to get licensed for a proposed space trip to Venus. He and his family move out to California to take a cushy new job in the suburbs, and they're invited to join an exclusive health club called Steaming Springs, I think, and it's actually a portal to hell. And Susan Lucci is the devil, and the health club membership kind of steals your soul. And Robert Urich has to put on the heat suit and go into hell to save his family. But it's got some really interesting sequences of surrealistic dream imagery and dream logic that pop back up in Nightmare on Elm Street. You can see that Craven was experimenting with this stuff even before Nightmare. So it has cheese, but it also has some interesting historical value. Invitation to Hell.
So this next one I got in the Kino sale, so I haven't watched it again, but it's a new 4K restoration of it, of a movie over 100 years old, I believe. Exactly 100 years old. This is F.W. Murnau's Nosferatu.
All right.
I'm very excited to see the new new restoration of it, because for a while I've been depending on YouTube because it is in public access and copyright free, so you can watch it on YouTube. It is not a good restoration at all, so I can't wait to finally kind of see what's up, because a lot of it is very visual, and it kind of has to be because it's a silent film, but oh my gosh, really creepy movie.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, well, my next one is a double feature, and it's only a double feature because they're similar titles. They have nothing to do with each other. It's completely different. Crucible of Horror and Crucible of Terror. Crucible of Terror, released from 7 films. From the cover, I thought originally this was a Paul Naschy movie, but no, the guy's name is Mike Raven, which is a great name. And I think this one's like German, maybe. Well, this is kind of a blind watch. These are films that have been sitting on my couch for years, or sitting on my shelf for years, and I just haven't watched them. So, clearing some space. I guess I'm not necessarily recommending these yet, but I'm gonna watch them.
I just have an image of you like have a stack of DVDs on like one seat of the couch, and no one's allowed to sit on there, and it's just like collecting dust. It's just a stack of movies. I'm gonna watch it soon. Come on.
Yeah.
So my next one is a Halloween-focused anthology film. That's actually not an anthology film, but that's sort of for later in the movie. But it's directed by Michael Dougherty, who needs to make the sequel of this like soon. Every other year, he says, "I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on it," but still waiting. But I finally have a physical release of it. It is Trick or Treat. This
Oh
is
yeah,
amazing. I really enjoyed it. I went in totally blind to this and ended up loving it. So,
that's out in theaters right now. You can go see it, or at least it was last week. There was a limited re-release.
oh wow.
I didn't get to go, but it's there. Cool, Trick or Treat. Okay.
I just got one more movie after this, so
Oh,
I
okay.
can
Let's
always
see.
grab more. So,
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5.
okay. I'll look for
Okay.
more while you talk.
So I've gone all this way, and I haven't done a Dario Argento film. So I'm going to do a Dario Argento film, but it's going to be a film that very few people talk about when they talk about Dario Argento, and is this: Do you like Hitchcock?
Oh, I've actually heard of that one.
This, my understanding is this was made for Italian television. Um, they sure can show a lot of stuff in Europe that they can't show here. It is fantastic, and it came out during a period of time where he was not. Argento was kind of thought of as being done. He wasn't. It was long after opera had been his last kind of critically well-regarded film. Do You Like Hitchcock is 2005, so it's around the time of stuff like The Card Player, which is, not his best. It's got a lot going for it, but it's also about like online solitaire or whatever the hell, poker. But Do You Like Hitchcock it's funny, it's taught, the editing, really recalls some of his best Jolly. I can't say enough about Do You Like Hitchcock. It's one of the few Argento films that has not gotten a high definition upgrade, along with Giallo, which is with Adrian Brody, which is much better than I think its initial reviews suggested. So, Do You Like Hitchcock? I'm going to be watching that tonight. Or not tonight, later this month.
Cool. So this is one that I was refusing to upgrade for the longest time, and then the Shout sale happened, and it was so low price that I had to get it. And it's a 4K of my favorite entry in the Halloween franchise. It is Halloween 3. I have the 4K now. I love the original one, of course, but this one is my bread and butter. I love the Stonehenge stuff. I love just the sleaziness of Tom Atkins' character that nobody talks about. Everyone's like, oh yeah, he's a cool character in this movie. And I'm like, no, he's not. I mean, he's very cool in the sense that he's kind of our main character who has to solve what's going on. But man, he just out of his element. He abandons his family to go hang out with this super young chick who is looking for her father. And the main theme song of this movie is an earworm, goes repeating in my head constantly about Silver Shamrock. And also, this release actually has the subtitles. The Blu-ray does not have subtitles. It was a 1080p restoration, I believe, so I can't wait to revisit this one. I revisit it every year, but this is a new restoration, so I'm excited.
Well, you'll be pleased to know Bear Manor, who put out the Todd Browning book that I'm a part of, that Gary Rhodes edited, just announced that they're releasing a new book about the making of Halloween 3, and it has a forward. Has a forward by Tom Atkins, so that's coming soon.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
well,
so
I need to get that.
you'll get to read it. I'll send you a link when it comes out. All right. Well, my next one is a personal favorite of mine. Vinegar Syndrome puts it out, and I'm very grateful to them for that. When Chloe Zhao won the Oscar for what did she win it for? Nomadland. A lot of attention was paid to the fact, rightly, was paid to the fact that she was the first woman of Asian descent to win an Oscar. And then it got me thinking, well, how many Asian women of Asian background, East Asian background in particular, East and South Asian in particular, directed. And the only one I could think of was Jackie Kong, who directed Blood Diner and The Being, stuff like that. But there is another, Vivi Dashin Su, and she made this, Pale Blood, with Wings Hauser. So you know the movie is going to be acted. There's going to be acting. And this movie is great. It is so atmospheric. She really amps up the neo-noir, the late 80s, early 90s, and this is 1990, neo-noir kind of moment when there were so many films that reached back to the themes of noir films. But she brings the style of it, you know, the light through the lattice, through the blinds, working with shadows. It's a vampire movie, as you can see from this wonderful cover. A lot of humor. I don't want to say too much more. It's worth seeing. Oh, several cameos by the great band Agent Orange. Speaking of earworms, you will definitely have some Agent Orange in your head, and in a good way, not the way most people have Agent Orange in their head. So Pale Blood, big fan, and should be recognized as kind of an important entry into genre films directed by, you know, a person who doesn't get these kinds of opportunities as often.
Yeah, I love that movie. I just saw it a few months ago. But I'll quickly go through this one just because it's one we've talked about a lot, and it's one I love. It's a South Korean zombie film, Train to Busan. What else is there to say about it? This movie's great, really high-paced, great emotional stings all throughout, especially the ending. Oh my god. I maintain that there's no sequel, although I know there is one, but I know it is. Yeah. And I just know that it's like pale in comparison, but it's great. Very terrifying. The director was an animator, I believe, from I guess it was his first movie, and it's very well done visually. It's very portraity. I don't even know. It's very. It gives you the, I guess, feeling that somebody who's very visually inclined made the movie, because you could pause it and it's a computer background basically. You could have it as a computer background and it'll look great. So lots of great sequences. Very terrifying, very stressful to watch. I don't watch it often, but it's great.
I gotta say, that's the one that gets me as a dad. I do tend to tear up at the end, even though I know what's coming. All right, I got two left. Oh, the titles are apropos, given what I just said. I'm going with another Stuart Gordon movie. This is one I guarantee you nobody's seen. Daughter of Darkness, starring Anthony Perkins and Mia Sara. As you can see, this is a German release DVD. This was a made-for-television horror film by Stuart Gordon. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Daughter of Darkness. Watch, people, if you can find it. Stuart Gordon.
There needs to be a big old box set of his movies.
Yeah, well, University of Wisconsin-Madison has created an archive of all of his papers and memorabilia and stuff for research. And I hope that I plan on going myself as soon as I can get a grant to work on a Stuart Gordon project. And I hope that the creation of the archives leads to more scholarly attention to Stuart Gordon, but also more commercial attention, because he has so many films that most of his films have been released in some form or another, but he hasn't quite gotten the treatment that he deserves. I'm sure that there's going to be some 4Ks of Reanimator coming soon, but he has several films that haven't gotten very good releases, including Daughter of Darkness, a comedic film he did called The Wonderful Ice Cream Suit, and several others. So that's what I got.
Perfect. So this is I'm in my kind of backup pile that I had just in case I ran out, which I did. This is a Mario Bava film that everybody knows. Actually, Sergio Martino. I'm sorry. In my head, they're the same because they're both very visual in the filmmaking style. But this is a movie I think I reviewed during the Giallo episode of the Withering Watch Pal. This is All the Colors of the Dark.
Oh, nice.
I really enjoyed this one. That was a first time watch for me. Really great sequences all throughout. This was my first Sergio Martino film. I, of course, got the box set somewhere above me. And I'm definitely more of a fan of him now because of this movie. So
that's a good one. All right, well, it's time for my final pick, the one that I'm going to watch on Halloween night. And it is one that is a perfect Halloween night watch, given its themes and plot. This has just been released by Synapse, and it's Jeff Lieberman's Satan's Little Helper, which came out in 2004. I saw it when it first came out, and I haven't seen it since, so I'm really looking forward to it. An escaped serial killer befriends, I guess, quote unquote, befriends a little boy trick-or-treating on Halloween night, and creepiness ensues. Check it out. Satan's Little Helper. Thank you, Synapse.
I need to watch that. I'm very curious on it.
Yeah.
I don't know which one to choose, so I'll just say both of them. They have no relation to each other, but these are both shot on video films that are really great. One of them is an actual great horror film with lots of supernatural bits, and that is Red Silver Lake, or Red Spirit Lake. This one's amazing. And then, because I want to kind of encourage everyone to watch this, because there was a lot of work put in by an unconventional director who is a 12-year-old girl. This is Pathogen. Oh, yes. This one's actually really good, considering the circumstances. You kind of have to take your critic hat off. I mean, you're not going to get anything huge out of it, but you can see so much work was put into it. You see the director's dentist acting in this movie. You see all of her teachers, all of her friends at school, everybody. There should be a movie made by the people who did Ed Wood, or the people who wrote Ed Wood, and My Name is Dolomite, or Dolomite is My Name. And they should make a movie based on the making of this movie, because it was such a big community effort to make this sort of zombie movie. And I haven't watched the documentary yet, all about the making of, but it is shockingly good. I wasn't bored, which is usually what happens in shot-on-video movies.
Yeah.
But it's kind of shocking. Released by AGFA. So, check it out.
I will. Well, that brings us to the end of our talk tonight. This was a lot of fun. I applaud you on your choices. All of those are films that I would like to see or see again. And I know that you enjoyed my choices because my taste is impeccable.
Yep.
And I hope listeners or viewers out there will suggest some titles of their own in the comments, and maybe see a couple of these movies that we've highlighted. Many of which are kind of lesser known. So, yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for watching, and thank you, Will, for coming back for this very special episode.
My pleasure.